Hello again, boys and girls, and today we're going to be looking at part 2 of the tutorial for the skin kits and designdibs.net. And now we're just going to take a look at the skin texture file and its options. So if you click it, you'll see all the options that you have, and if you're familiar with any 3D application, then you'll be pretty happy that you have all those options. But for this purposes, we're just using this model as a preview to show the progress when working on our skins. All we really need here is everything turned off so it doesn't waste any memory on our computer. And then we need the texture to be linked in that diffuse channel. And right now, the way this file is saved out, is it's saved out with this texture file, this texture PSD file, linked to the 3D file. And that's all linked in Photoshop, so it doesn't really affect that other file that's in that folder, because it's all incorporated into this one big fat Photoshop file. And finally you have the light, and you can obviously change some things around here, like the color, if you like. To give us a little more happy sunny feel. You can change around the intensity, but the 2 is fine. That's the type of the light and the softness, but all that stuff just wastes more memory, so we're just not gonna do it. And you have the scene itself, and under the scene you have some performance settings. You can choose where the paint goes on which layer, but with us it's on diffuse, so it's fine. You can choose the anti-aliasing level. For draft, for now it's good enough. And you can change the render settings, because you can actually render out this 3D model view. But you can also change the preview of those 3D settings. So if you change it to solid, for example, then it's just gonna be solid. But that uses a little more memory, so for our purposes we're using shaded illustration mode, which shows us the polygons running across the model and the skin with some shading, but it doesn't waste too much memory, so it's nice. And as last but not least, we're going to be talking about the texture file itself, on how to modify the texture and work on your skin and make some awesome cool stuff, right? Right. So here you have the 3D model layer of the car, and that's just basically a layer with a 3D file incorporated in it, and in that 3D file we have that texture file, which is assigned to diffuse channel. Now if you double click on the name of the texture, you can also just hide this particular channel, and we can double click that name, and if you do that, then we'll get a whole new file, and will open up as a separate file, as you see here. So that's it. That's your texture file. That's how you open it. So now that you opened your text file, you can go ahead and start working on it. Go on and draw on some cool shapes and do some cool logos. But we're just gonna draw something stupid and fast and easy. So I'll just make a new layer, grab a brush, change the color to white, step the size a bit. And what's it gonna be? It's gonna be yeah, let's just draw a stupid flower. Just gotta get some ground, right, to grow in. And that looks fine. So one more thing that I wanna talk about is where Photoshop saved this mysterious skin file when you're working on it, because you press Ctrl S and we're used to seeing the file and knowing where it is, just in case you want to have that extra security. So the thing is, when you double click that texture file, Photoshop opens up a temporary PSB file, and it has to do it somewhere. So where it does it is in your temporary folder on your Windows hard disk, where you have your Windows installed. So if I double click it and open it, and press Ctrl S to save it, then Photoshop goes on and saves it. And let's find the folder where it saves it. So if you go on to your system hard disk, and with me it's D, and then we go into Documents and Settings, and then we go to your user account folder, and in there we'll see a folder called Local Settings, and we'll go in there, and there we'll see a folder called Temp, and that's your temporary folder. And in case your Photoshop crashes, don't be scared like, oh my god, I lost all my hard work. No, just go into that local folder, that local settings and the temp folder, and you'll just find the latest save that you made, when you press Ctrl S, and that file will be there. So you could always open it up. If you're working on a kit, on the skin, then every five steps you make, 5 movements you make, just press Ctrl S to make sure. Never lose your work. Well, now I showed you guys where to save the file, where Photoshop saves the temporary file. So that's basically it. All I gotta do is just maybe show you my favorite way of how I work when I work on skins, and then I just detach the 2 files, because obviously you need the 2 files to be open. And I scale them down a bit so I can see both of them. And that's it. I can go on ahead, and work on one file, see the other file at the same time, see my changes every time I press Ctrl S. It's a pretty cool way of working. Press Ctrl S and just see it update. Great. And then if you want to make more adjustments, you can zoom in there, and then you can zoom in there, and draw some more stupid stuff, and press Ctrl S again, and just see it out there. Just awesome. The beautiful flower. That's what we're gonna do. And don't forget to put the name of the car in the file name with big letters, and then the underscore, and then the name of your skin, because that's how Speed will recognize it. The awesome flower. And here's another important thing of what to do when you save out your file as a JPEG. What you gotta do is set the format options to progressive, and then you set it to 5 scans, and you can play around with the slider and you'll see the size of your skin file. So for this is really small, so I can just crank it all the way up. But what you gotta do is just pay attention that the file size doesn't get too big, otherwise you just gotta play around with the slider, make sure it's nice and small, and just save it out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I think I explained everything, and have fun making skins. Now get to work!